Do you ever wonder why success is so easy for some people and so difficult for others? Some make it look so easy to get what they want, and others, you kind of wonder if they just sit around and own it into existence, right? And yet I'm sure some of you are saying when you hear manifestation, oh, that's so woo-woo. Well, what I want you to think about today is practical manifestation. And I want to give you an example. My father was probably the best fisherman in the entire world. And I can remember from the time we were really little, he would say, I'm going to catch my quota of fish for the day. And it was just kind of like a statement. And he would go, and he'd go fishing, and he would come back, and he would always have his quota. It was just amazing. I can remember my father and I going to our cabin, which was on 160 acres in the middle of nowhere, and we decided to go fishing. And he's like, well, we need to go catch our quota. And I kid you not, so each of us could catch 12 fish. It was the most difficult thing. It was this little tiny stream, and you'd be like, you couldn't even see the fish. And he had his 12 caught probably within 15 minutes. He had my 12 caught in 15 minutes and my husband's. It was fascinating. And the difference between him and me was the fact that he was very clear on what was going to happen, and it would. I was like, how in the heck is this happening? Oh my gosh, it's so hard. It's not going to happen. You can't even see the fish. It was just amazing because you could look down at the stream and I would not see one fish. And he knew exactly where to go and what to do, and he had the confidence to make it a reality. See, he believed what was going to be the outcome. I didn't. And that, my friends, is the difference. Now, another interesting story is my brother, from the time he was about 8, he wrote, I will be a jet pilot. From the time I knew what a millionaire was, I said, I will be a millionaire. Now, I don't really like will be because that puts it out in the future tense, but the power of knowing that. My teacher actually laughed at me and said, right, Annette, I mean, you're a small town girl from South Dakota, ain't gonna happen. And I remember thinking, like, who's she to say? But then, you're like, oh yeah, it's probably right. It probably will never happen. And I just think, gosh, if she could see me now, what would she say, right? Because the issue is we can do or be whatever we want to be. And when we get really clear on what our intention is and who we want to become, that's when amazing things happen. The bottom line is your ability to manifest and learn how to do it from a practical standpoint so you can manifest anything is easier than you could imagine. And it's very practical. And that, my friends, is what you're going to learn today. So stay tuned. So hi and welcome. I'm Annette Ba'u, host of the Millionaire Insider. For over 30 years, I've been advising and researching the top 1% and 2% of millionaires to learn what millionaires with amazing lives do differently. And now I'm providing you practical, easy to implement insights so you can take your business, your life, and your wealth to the next level and to create a financially free life you love. As I like to say, a richer and more fulfilled life. So let's dive into how to manifest money, success, really anything. Please click subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified of future episodes. For today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/197. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. Now, I share with you that you've got to release money blocks and you've got to believe it's possible. But what if you say, well, Annette, that's all great, but I don't. I want to give you an amazing resource. You can go to millionaireseries.com/7PB and access the 7 principles of becoming a millionaire for life. This book and the insight literally would change your life. There's exercises, including the one at the end of chapter 1 about releasing mental blocks and core beliefs. How do you get rid of those beliefs that are keeping you stuck? How do you replace them with ones that are going to get you what you want? So you can manifest anything with ease. Again, millionaireseries.com/7PB. This book is over 30 years of research, and it dives into every key concept and insight I got from my research with millionaires as well as advising millionaires. It's amazing. So again, millionaireseries.com/7PB. Now, I recommend when you get this book, so you don't get overwhelmed, just read it through. It's going to give you some things to start thinking about. Then what I want you to do is go back and start doing the exercises, because it's more than just a book. It's really a workbook. It's going to be a game changer if you do the exercises, as it has been for literally everyone who has read it. So you're going to love it. If you've not downloaded the Money Mindset Guide, which is going to guide you through this series of money mindset as well as money blocks and success blocks, you can go to millionaireseries.com/SMMG. But this guide is really going to help you on the step-by-step through really creating the money mindset you need as well as removing the money blocks. And it's designed to help you go through these trainings. So I encourage you to access it. You can go to millionaireseries.com/SMMG. So what I want you to think about is a belief is simply a thought that has an emotion tied to it. As a result of thinking and feeling about something, it forms a belief, which is also known as a hardwired neural pathway. To manifest anything in your life, you must understand the power of beliefs. And you must understand that some of your beliefs are not accurate. You may want them to be true, but they're not. And what I find, especially now with what's going on, because people are just gravitated towards getting information that supports their beliefs, which we've always done, but now it's like exasperated. Like we don't want to hear anything unless we want to believe it's true. But it's so dangerous because what happens is then we stay stuck. And as I share with you, one of the biggest money blocks is us against them. I'm right, you're wrong. And, it feels good because it supports what we believe. And yet, when you don't have enough money, you're not making your desired revenue, you don't have the net worth you want, go back to that issue. That is one that a lot of people have no idea is such a block in their prosperity. But I've seen it over and over again. Success and money blocks are negative, subconscious, and unconscious beliefs that are a barrier to our achieving our desired goal. So let's look at some of the things we can do to better manifest. So the most important one, in my opinion, is to believe it is possible. The bottom line is we have to believe it's possible, even when it's not. And that's a hard one, right? Because our limbic brain's fighting us. It doesn't want to change. No, it's not. It doesn't want to use calories. It wants to conserve them. All the things are fighting against us. So we got to be clear on that going into it. All materials and intellectual property are copywritten by themillionaireseries.com. The information we provide is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide you any investment, financial, tax, retirement, or any planning or health care advice. All participants agree to hold millionaireseries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. This is our series on money mindset. And our first one was what are money blocks, millionaireseries.com/194. What are top money blocks, millionaireseries.com/195. And then removing money blocks, millionaireseries.com/196. I really encourage you to go back and watch those because those will really help you with today's topic of manifesting success. Really, you want to manifest money, success, really anything, follow this proven path. Now, I shared the first one with you. You got to believe it. You got to believe it's possible. I never for 1 minute doubted I could be a millionaire. Now, I never even grasped the concept that I could be more than just a millionaire. That's what we got to get clear on, is that once you start learning how to manifest, anything's possible. The best news of all, and this is something millionaires get that others don't, is that we have crazy goals. We have goals that other people look at and go, that's crazy. I mean, there's no way, right? And it's kind of like, why not? I mean, why not, right? Your thoughts and feelings, also known as beliefs, create a vibration. This vibration dictates what you attract and don't attract. It also dictates what you manifest, meaning the results you get, as well as what you do not achieve. I liken it to a radio station. If you're dialed into 99.9 hard rock and you want to listen to soft jazz, you got to change the radio station. We're going to get into that in a minute, but it's critical. So let's review actions you can take to better manifest what you want in your life. You got to get clear. Now, this is something that is so fascinating to me. Somebody will say, well, I can't manifest anything. I'm terrible at it. Like, I just have absolutely no ability to manifest. And so I always ask the logical question, well, what are you trying to manifest? And I kid you not, 9 out of 10 times, the person will go dead silent and they're like, well, that's a really good question. I'm like, well, it is a really good question. Because if you don't know what you want to manifest, how can you manifest it? And then like, well, I need to think of an example. You've got to be really clear. You've got to be so clear on what it is you want that you can tell me with crystal clear clarity what it is you want. So the first thing you've got to do before you'll ever be able to manifest anything is you got to know what you want. And then you got to believe it's possible. So if you don't yet know what you want, 7 Principles of Becoming a Millionaire for Life, millionaireseries.com/7PB. And at the end of the first chapter, Releasing Mental Blocks and Core Beliefs, write the question out and answer it, and then follow that entire process. That process is designed to help you identify things you don't know, things that are keeping you stuck, money blocks, all the things that are keeping you from achieving your desired result. Again, millionaireseries.com/7PB. Your energy. Now again, this sounds so woo-woo. And oftentimes people make it really woo-woo. And they also make it like, if you're not special, you can't tap into it. Like you have to be this like extra special person. We are all comprised of energy. We know that scientifically. And what we're talking today is practical energy. How to tune into a different radio station. Think about it. We can talk with people and within seconds you can feel your energy go up or down. And you're like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I can stay in this conversation, right? Because their energy is so toxic and low, whereas other people, you're just like gravitate towards them. Whenever I'm talking with one of my business coaching clients, I'm always gauging that, because what I know is if your energy's low and you're below the grid, your clients, your prospects sense that and they don't want anything to do with it. And what you got to do is you got to get that energy high and in the right space so that people are attracted to you. And then what you find is that people come to you versus you out chasing them. It's amazing how that works. So tips to elevate your energy. Science shows that we're made up of different energy fields. Vibrations operate at different frequencies. There's high ones, there's low ones, and there's in between. So there's all these different vibrations going on, and we are showing up at different ones. The key is to identify your level of energy in each area of your life and determine if you need to increase that level or if you need to stay there. This is critical because we attract at whatever level we're at. So ever been in a toxic relationship? Go and look at when you attracted that person. Where were you vibrationally? It's frightening how accurate that is. I have done this with hundreds of clients and I've never seen it to prove wrong. Where we are and what we attract has to do with where we are vibrating. And we're vibrating at a low energy, below the grid, toxic, I'm right, you're wrong. And then you attract nothing that you want. You attract everything that you don't want. That's a problem. Examples can include money, clients, health, anything. All right, we've got to tune in. Now, when I'm talking about tuning in, I'm talking about, clearly there's a radio station, we'll talk about that in a minute, but right now what I want to talk about is your fight or flight. So our limbic brain, which is 2 million years old, it's there to protect us. We give up new information, something happens, and it says, no, 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 I don't want you to do anything. I want you to do what I've always done. And you go into this fight or flight where you're either fighting something or you're running away from it and you're not addressing it. Because all of a sudden when something changes and now you have new information, hey, maybe I can start manifesting better. Oh, no, 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 you don't want to do that. See, you're motivated while you're listening to me, but then you start getting in the real world and then all of a sudden that voice goes off. You can never do that. You've never been able to manifest anything. Just because she told you to, you can't. And then before you know it, you've already got this story going that's working with your limbic brain in unison, and all of a sudden now you're like, there's no way I can do it. But what you got to understand is we got to tune into what we're thinking, what we're believing, what we're saying, what we're doing. It's like a radio station. So let's review this. If you're dialed into 98.7 hard rock and you want to listen to soft jazz on 99.9, you have a problem, a big problem. You can complain all you want, but the bottom line is you got to change the radio station. You got to change the frequency. Those are operating on a frequency. 99.9 is a different frequency than 95.5. Same thing with our energy. Same thing with our vibration. So where are you tuned in? Miserable, broke prospects, or you're miserable and broke? Enjoyable, wealthy prospects, or perhaps you are wealthy and enjoying your life? It doesn't matter. It all applies. And I will just say this much. As advisors, we have a tendency of being a little bit more fiscally conservative, but some advisors are extreme in their views, just like people. You know, we've got extreme views. And what I find is the more extreme view a person is, the more unlikely they are to get their desired result. And what's fascinating is that it's within all of our control. So if you're really extreme in your view, I'm right, you're wrong, everything's good about what I see, nothing's good about what you see, it's going to show up in your results. So that's something that we can all change. Is it hard? Yeah. I came from a very black and white environment. A 1 for my faith, my politics, that I'm right, you're wrong. And it wasn't until I started working with really successful people that I realized how much that was hurting me. Thank goodness I did it and I was able to change it. But if you don't like your results, simply change your radio station. And yeah, sometimes you're going to keep going back to the one you've been on, but you got to change it if you want different results. All right, you got to align. To achieve any goal, you must align your conscious mind with your subconscious mind. Remember, I talked about your limbic brain and your prefrontal cortex? Well, if those two aren't in alignment in your limbic brain saying, no, don't do this, and your prefrontal cortex saying, oh, but I want to create this amazing business, I want to create this amazing life, I want to have financial freedom, you got to get the two in alignment. Determine what you want. That's the first step. You got to get clear. And then affirm it in I am or I active verb. I earn how much money, write it in the year, write the year with ease. And then you want to visualize it. You want to see it. That's what I did with my homes. I saw it. In fact, my lot, which I'm like, I'm never going to find this. I want to have an incredible view, but I don't want hikers behind me. Because every mountain in Phoenix, literally everyone, has hikers behind them. I didn't want people looking in my backyard. Unless you want to be 10 miles out. And I didn't want to do that. And I just kept trusting. The clearer I got and the more I could see it, immediately once we went and were able to see it, it was like, this is it. And then what ended up happening is I thought it was one, because we ended up buying 2 lots, but I thought it was one. And then I just got a little more quiet and I really started paying attention. I'm like, no, it's this one. It's the one they'd already built on. Well, the reason they were building on that one is because behind your house, the rock formation, I mean, both of them have mountain views, but the rock formation going up the hill is unbelievable. And I got that because I was aligned and because I quieted down and I had been visualizing that. That's where I want you to be. All right, you got to pay attention. We've got to become conscious. You must become aware to manifest what you want in life. Becoming conscious requires that you get that everything happens for you, not to you. The victims of the world blame someone else. The bullies also blame and push their agenda on everyone else. Both are fearful states that keep us stuck. We've got to slow down to get into the driver's seat of our life. You've got to become present, conscious, and focused. So there's activities that can help to quiet that limbic brain down. Primary strategies and secondary. Primary include focused breathing and silent meditation. I encourage you to start with focused breathing. Breathing in through your nose to the count of 8, holding it for 8, and then releasing for 10. Then there are also secondary strategies, guided meditation, chants, prayer, yoga, walks. All of those can be great, but the primary ones need to come before the secondary ones. So let's use an example of praying. Praying is great. The problem is if you're doing it with an out-of-control limbic brain, or you're doing it when you're not in the driver's seat of your life, is you can pray all you want, you can om all you want, you can chant all you want, but it's kind of like pouring tea in a cup. If it's already full and you keep pouring water in, there's nowhere to go. It just flows over. Same thing with your brain. Your brain's got to be able to absorb the message you're sending it. And that's why primary strategies are so critical. The best news of all is that once you start manifesting this and you start applying these things, you're going to be able to do this on command. It's amazing what can happen. Positive prayer. I want to talk about this for a minute because so many people pray. And if it's positive above the grid, it's amazing what it can do as far as manifesting. If you believe it, it's going to happen. But so many people, their focus is more on fearful prayer, and that's below the grid. It's negative, and it is, in my opinion, the biggest inhibitor and controller of all of us. But what's really interesting in all of it is just look at where your energy is. Are you feeding yourself with positive, motivating, joy-filled love, or are you feeding yourself with fear, worry, anxiety, all of those things that just keep you stuck? It's so interesting. It's kind of like saying you can't be spiritual and have money. And there's still a lot of faiths that share that. But I want you to make enough money to give it to us at the church, right? So what we got to do is we got to be aware of that. We got to make sure that we're doing things that are going to support us and our family so that we're not, struggling to make ends meet and not knowing how we're ever going to retire. Shift your mindset. There's a growth versus a fixed mindset. There's an abundance versus a poverty mindset, a millionaire versus a broke mindset. So let's look at the growth versus fixed mindset. So the growth mindset was developed by Carol Dweck. And it's a belief that you can change your situation and results through dedication and hard work. A person that has a growth-oriented mindset can more easily manifest because they believe that their efforts will make a difference. Whereas a fixed mindset is, and they did it on children, but it was a child that thought, I'm either smart or I'm not. And they didn't realize that their effort could make a difference. So what they realized is they'd either do really well on a test or they wouldn't. And what's really dangerous about a fixed mindset, whether it's in sports or academics, is that if you're smart and you were doing really good on tests, but you never had to study, and then all of a sudden it starts getting harder, and you're like, oh, okay, well, if I'm smart, then I'll do fine, not realizing you've got to start applying more. You've got to start studying more. And I see that both in academics as well as I see it in sports. My kids have been in sports, and you'll see the kids that are really good, just natural talent, but then you see the kids that aren't as good, but that are constantly having that growth mindset, working to improve it, doing the things they need to. They're the ones that at some point surpass it. It's amazing. A fixed mindset belief feels like we can't impact the future. It already is. And a lot of people have that. The problem with that is it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, meaning because they believe it, they continue to get more of it. Ugh, just cringeworthy. So I'd interview people that had been millionaires, and some were still millionaires, and the most fascinating thing that I would see is that the people who are still millionaires set unrealistic goals, and they totally believed in their heart of heart that they could achieve it. The other ones were constantly second-guessing themselves, and it was fascinating because it was how they saw a situation. The ones that were now broke would share about all the problems and all the reasons why they were broke. The ones who were successful and had stayed successful, and really not just with money, but everything, were always looking for the opportunities. That's something we can all change. So I really encourage you to really start focusing on what you want and where you're going. You can't help but manifest if you do that one thing, right? So now if you are struggling and you're going, oh my gosh, I need help, I'm going through this series, what do I do? If you have not downloaded the guide, the Money Mindset Guide, please do so. millionaireseries.com/SMMG. But this guide really is designed to help you go through these series, to help you get unstuck and really start getting results. So again, millionaireseries.com/SMMG. You got to visualize it. Decide what you want. I keep going back to that because it's so critical. You've got to know what you want before you can ever manifest it. Create a visualization board or book where you can see what you want, and then get into a quiet place where you won't be interrupted so you can start visualizing it. Close your eyes and visualize. Notice how you feel, sense, or anything else that comes up. All right, I share with you that I visualized all my homes. My first home in the mountains, my condo overlooking the beach, and now what's going to be my primary home that has panoramic views from literally every window. And no hikers behind us, which is very hard to find in Phoenix. I knew with my second home, which was my cabin in the pines, that I was going to eventually manifest it. I just didn't know how long it was going to take. And I would look at my book morning in and morning out. And my cabin's on the hill, but the one I manifested wasn't. But it's still, when I go for a walk at night, it just gives me goosebumps because it's just identical. It looks identical with lights on, compared to the one that I looked at for 5 years and that I manifested. It's that powerful. And then when I walked into what now is our ocean view condo, it was literally everything I had manifested. I wanted views from every window. I wanted to see the ocean from every window. I didn't want to be right on the water. I wanted to be on the top floor, but I didn't want to be too high up where I'd be looking down at the ocean. I mean, it's crazy. I had these crazy goals and desires and things I wanted to manifest that most people would have said, hey, that's over the top. Well, it wasn't. Affirmations. Great one. I am enough. I am enough is the most important affirmation you can use to manifest, because then you raise your vibe and you're going to be attracting what you want. I'm financially free. I deserve wealth. I accumulate wealth with ease. I support nonprofits. I support my favorite causes. There's a lot of things you can do. Practice forgiveness, so powerful. So let's look at forgiveness. The first person we got to forgive is ourselves. The second is anyone who's wronged us. You want to practice the Ho'opono prayer. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. That is such a powerful tool. Oh my gosh, it is unbelievable what has happened with people using that. But I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Anytime you need to forgive anyone or something. All right, reprogramming your mind. First, you got to affirm what you want, because we're trying to rewire that neural pathway and get into our limbic brain. Apply repetition. Continue to repeat, I am enough. Continue to affirm what you want to earn. All those things. Visualizing. You've got to see it. You got to believe it to achieve it. And then meditate. Get that mind quiet so you can actually know what you want and you can actually then take action to achieve it. With programming your mind, what you're doing is you're just getting it into your subconscious mind, your limbic brain. And that's why those are really important, because you can affirm it, you can apply repetition, visualizing it, and meditating it. All right, tapping, EMDR, and NLP. The goal in tapping is to tap into your energy so you can use and exchange it in your interactions. Success and money blocks inhibit the flow of energy, which prevents you from achieving your goal. Experts believe that this raises our energy. Now, we talked about this in the last one, but these are really effective. And I have done tapping, and I have noticed that I feel calmer, I feel more energetic, I feel more clear and more focused. So I encourage you to try it, tapping. You can tap on different centers depending on what you want to do. And a lot of people use 3 fingers to tap. The mindset and inner game work is what allows us to create the outer game results we desire. The best news is we can change our mind. And yeah, it's going to take work, but if we put our mind out to do it, we can do it. So I encourage you to do it. So possibly the most fascinating thing about manifesting, which we went over a little bit in Releasing Mental Blocks and Core Beliefs, is The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale, one of my favorite audio tapes. And he says, we become what we think about. Think about that. Just by thinking about what you want, you can change it. It's amazing. Just by simply changing how we think, we can change it. You've got to understand that you deserve to get what you want, whether it's wealth, success, fulfillment, or all the above. And simply by focusing on what you want and then taking action to achieve it, you can't help but dramatically improve your odds of achieving it. And that's what manifestation is all about. Now, if you need some more help on this, I encourage you to go and access my ebook and binder, which is basically a workbook. It'll take you through all the processes you need. The book is The 7 Principles of Becoming a Millionaire for Life. You can access it at millionaireseries.com/7pb. But the 7 principles really walks you through 7 critical principles you've got to master to be able to achieve your goal and really to be a millionaire with an amazing life. For today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/197. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. I want to thank you so much for joining me for How to Manifest Money, Success, Really Anything. I'm Annette Ba'u, host of Millionaire Insider. All international copyrights are reserved. We went over a lot in this on manifesting, but I'm telling you, if you apply even a fraction of what I shared with you, you can't help but improve your results. You got to get clear. You got to know where you're going, and then you got to work on that limbic, unconscious brain, mind, so that you are able to do the work. Align your prefrontal cortex with your limbic brain so that you really are able to achieve the results you want, and the rest is going to be history. Now, on our next training, we're diving into the 7 steps to overcome money blocks. Now, this is going to kind of tie a little bit into releasing mental blocks as well as manifesting, but I bring it together in 7 steps that I have used that are really effective. So I'll look so forward to seeing you on that training. Bye for now.